Hi everybody, Nate here again, bringing you a brand new Riders Republic video. Been incredibly blessed over the last weekend with loads of new content to have a look at and dig into. Ubisoft were kind enough to drop a new gameplay video that revealed tons of new details about how the game works, some of the interface options, and then just general aspects of the gameplay. From what we have seen, there's plenty to discuss, so stick around and enjoy the video. So my favourite thing about the new trailer was actually the very start of it, the introduction of the hub, which was one of the facets of gameplays that I really wanted in my top 5 things of what we wanted from Riders Republic. I'm so glad that they brought it in, and it's going to be, a nice space to use within the game to get everyone in the community together. The burger stand that I mentioned in my previous gameplay breakdown is what is used to modify aspects of your player's progression. If I was to guess, this food stand would be a way to increase your player attributes like your stamina, your strength, or whatever attributes are attached to your particular disciplines. We're also shown an interactive chalkboard called Tricks Academy. It is suggested that this is where you come to learn about the new practices and tricks. I've seen many different tricks across all of the media regarding Riders Republic, so putting 2 and 2 together, it might be a case that trick lists are limited to the number of possible combinations that you can perform on a controller or a keyboard. In other words, the Tricks Academy board might be a way of unlocking new tricks that you can interchange in your trick list. So there might be more tricks than your button maps allow you to have. So this would mean that there could be a similar function to how tricks are set up in a game like SSX3, for example, where you purchase new tricks to add to your inventory list, and then from the Tricks Academy board in Riders Republic, that you can interchange between the tricks that you wanted for particular events. We also have a shop at the hub here, which is a way to mix up your apparel, what you look like, your customization. It goes without saying, this is implemented in many games, so I don't think it'd be any different here. The lab in the hub is a place to share creations with the Republic. Whether this is a builder tool of some kind or just a place to share videos and lines that you have saved as replays, this is entirely up for debate at this moment in time. Having a track builder in a game like this would be pretty incredible, in my opinion. It was something that I never would have considered for this game, but depending on how well it functions, or if it functions like that at all, it could be something that increases the longevity of the game and would be a welcomed addition. This is all purely speculation at this point though, and it could be that this is just a place to replay previous lines that you've seen or you've saved before. Another notable feature is a news board that will regurgitate information out to the Republic. It looks pretty cool, but would only be useful if news was a regular occurrence. I mean, there's too many games that I know of that have implemented news walls in the past that hardly ever gets used. Why not put a line of the week up or a trick of the day through player submissions to add a bit of spice to what we're seeing? That could really, emphasize the role of community found in this game. And finally, the hub introduction finishes with 2 stations that appear to be entrances to event lobbies, where you can complete in different disciplines, such as a free-for-all or a tricks battle. It might be a case that you have to go to these areas in order to put yourself into a PvP lobby. But besides our introduction to the Riders Hub, it's a lot more of the same or similar gameplay clips that we've already seen and discussed in previous videos. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of little things that you could easily skip past and not be aware of, so I'm going to discuss all of those little details now. In this gameplay segment, you can see in the bottom left options for sports, tools, social, and walk and equip gear. This gameplay is taken during free roam, and these are most likely going to be your input options when you're not in a competition. You will find that the different sports have different input options. For example, in this clip, you see that there's an option of switching stance on the snowboard, which isn't an option when you're on a bike. As you can see in this clip, we have 6 options in the sports input wheel, 2 slots that are reserved for bike, freestyle and race disciplines. 2 other slots on the right side are used for board and skis, freestyle and race disciplines. This is cool. This means that we have different equipment for different occasions, which is really practical. And also at the bottom we see a miscellaneous slot that will store all of the less focused disciplines such as paragliding, I would imagine. Also in the sports selection wheel we see an attribute breakdown on the right side of the screen for each type, which reveals to us some key information. For the air sport we have speed, mobility and engine boost as attributes. And for the snow trick, the freestyle section slot, we have attributes for speed, air rotation, deep snow and absorption. This to me is incredibly promising, as it would suggest there's modifications that will be a feature when it comes to progression or customization, and I am particularly intrigued with the deep snow attribute. This could only mean that some types of boards are necessary depending on the type of event you enter. With the introduction of these types of dynamics, it can make the game much more strategic and tactical, way more than I could have ever thought about before seeing this trailer. Throughout the clips of gameplay, we can see in the top right corner your party overlay. Every time this is shown in the trailer, we have a limit of 6 people in the party. Now that's not a bad number, although I feel like it could warrant bigger party sizes for a game of this magnitude. 6 players is better than 4, but not as good as 10 in my opinion. Keeping connected to your party in a snowboarding game has always been complicated. So the way Riders Republic have overcome this is to have a colourful line that will always link you to your next closest party member, as seen in this clip here. We don't know yet whether this can be adjusted or turned off should you want to. I'd imagine you will be able to, but we'll have to find out. I've acknowledged that some clips during the sports events have a max number of 34, and in some other clips you'll see a max number of 64. Whether the event options cater for different player numbers is a guess at this moment in time, but it has been confirmed by Ubisoft that event sizes will be smaller in previous gen versions as compared to the current gen. In both instances, party sizes were limited to 6, whether it was in the mass race of 34 or 64. All mass events appear to be point to point, with some events like this one shown in the clip could be events that switch disciplines on the fly. These events are very similar to multi-discipline races in The Crew 2, another Ubisoft game, or GTA Online Transform races if you've ever been on those. Some events are time trials as seen in this clip here. So you won't always be competing against other people, but you can also be competing against the splits in the clock as well. Great for players who are looking to create world records or elevate their performances to the mastery level. These events will most likely encompass the sponsored events like Red Bull Dual Ride and District Ride, Canyon and Santa Cruz events, and of course X Games. A small thing to note that in the interface during the gameplay clip we see here, in the top right it says runs. It appears as if competitions are not done in just one run and instead are held over a number of runs, depending on the event. There could be even a qualifying process involved in that you have to compete to a certain position in order to qualify for the next run of the event. This is not confirmed. In a freestyle event, you are now limited to perform only a set number of tricks before the run finishes. This is a huge game changer, even if it's just a little change, because this will help to eradicate all of those disingenuous runs that manipulate the scoring system. So hopefully what they can do from this is create a competitive playing field for people who want to play the game as the developers intended. Far too many times that I've seen on Steep for the world record attempts for freestyle or race events that they manipulate the game in some way in order to maximize their points, and it looks completely unnatural. I hate that. There's a speedometer implemented in the game. Always good to have as a way to determine your landing point when performing jumps, and making sure that you have the correct speed is absolutely necessary information for a game like this in my opinion. When you're on a bike, you will have a sprint bar in the bottom right. This is probably like a stamina bar that you have as you develop in the game, I think, as a way of increasing your attributes. A boost gauge will replace the sprint gauge when you're using a jetpack. For the ski and snowboard disciplines, it appears as if there's no gauge that is used. I have noticed 3 types of camera setups implemented into these videos. We've got the classic traditional third-person racing cam. We also have a first-person camera that looks smooth and actually quite useful, as opposed to being used as a gimmick in Steep, for example, with the GoPro camera view. And the most interesting for me was the dynamic cam, It was a first person whilst you ride and third person when performing tricks mid-air. I thought this was a nice touch, although I do worry about the jarring transition during competitive PvP events. It could be a little off-putting for people. Other than gameplay and interface aspects that we have discussed here, we also discovered more questionable choices of transportation in this video too. I'll run a small compilation for you.
Don't miss out on that. All right.
Besides competing, discovery will obviously be a big facet to Riders Republic, and it will probably be required in order to discover events and encourage exploration across the map. Ubisoft have gone out of their way to include some places of interest that exist in the real world so that we can do insane tricks off of. And we got so much useful information out of this E3 reveal that I cannot wait to get my paws on it, really. We are now safe to assume that the release date for Riders Republic will be the 2nd of September 2021. And that's almost a full 6 months after its initial release date. You can also register at this moment in time to be a part of their beta program as well, and even look at getting to play Riders Republic before it officially releases. That's really cool. Go and look into that. But I hope you find this information useful. I think we've got some really cool clips here. I'll be doing some more videos going up into the future as well, of course. So we'll hopefully see you in the next one, Riders. Take care. Bye bye.